I talked earlier about a perfect storm, and the perfect storm is called fear. And once fear gets out into the market, the end user, meaning the homeowner, gets into the fear cycle. Well, in the 2023, fear is going to overtake a lot of sellers. And what happens is when you get scared, you get fearful, you usually make irrational decisions. And that is my prediction coming in 2023. My 2023 predictions for the real estate market and wholesaling. Guys, it's Rick Ginn, and in this video, I'm going to give you what I think is going to happen in 2023, particularly to the real estate industry, and then I'm going to show you how you can thrive as a wholesaler in 2023 and absolutely crush it. But before I get into it, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, you hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the absolute best information. So let's first talk about the real estate market in general. So we can get a broad perspective of what's going on. And I want to break down how it's going to affect you as a wholesaler. So unless you've been hiding under a rock, you understand that the biggest challenge we're dealing with right now is the rising interest rates, particularly from our Federal Reserve. So what happened is inflation exploded. They thought it was going to be temporary, the word transitory, and in fact, it is here to stay. Not only is it here to stay, they are struggling to get it under control. So it peaked out around 8.5%. And basically what they've done is the Fed has done 6 interest rate hikes since they started this. What that does is every time they hike the interest rates, it puts downward pressure on real estate pricing. It is a direct correlation, and you have to understand that. The problem is they've only made slight headwinds in reducing inflation. In fact, it's only at 7.7% as I shoot this video. The challenge is the Fed's goal is to get it down to 2%. Now, guys, that is a huge gap. And they have constantly said over and over, the Fed, Jerome Powell, 2% is the target. So for them to get 2%, they have to keep raising the Fed rates. And every time they raise those rates, it has an effect of pushing up the mortgage rates, which gives the end buyer less buying power in real estate, which is going to continue to put downward pressure on pricing. So this is like no shock to let you know that the Fed said they're going to keep raising it until they get to the 2% target number, which means I don't know how many more rates are coming. I know they're coming. I don't know the level they're going to do them, but this is going to go on for the unforeseeable future, and it's going to continue to put downward pressure on pricing. So the other side effect to this is less homes are selling because more property is going on the market. Inventory levels are rising. And as there is more people selling their home and there's less people willing to pay that price, we have a supply and demand issue. So we have downward pressure on pricing. We have more supply and we have less demand. This is kind of the perfect storm. I'm not here to scare you on it, but in 2023, my prediction is prices are going to continue to drop, and I don't see it fixing in 2023. Inventory levels are going to keep rising, and this has a cumulative effect on the market. Either way, business still goes on. But a culmination of everything I've just talked about really creates a perfect storm. And the perfect storm is called fear. And once fear gets out into the market, you have to understand how the end user, meaning the homeowner, gets into the fear cycle. First is it has to be fed by the media over and over. And guys, the media loves negative news because they get ratings and it gets people's attention. Attention means money for them. So once they keep going over about how bad the real estate market, and they've just begun this, and we're not even in 2023 yet, you can understand well in the 2023, fear is going to overtake a lot of sellers. And what happens is when you get scared, you get fearful, you usually make irrational decisions. And that is my prediction coming in 2023 is basically sellers are going to not only get fearful, but they will get to the level of panic. Why? Because it's hard to sell your home. You actually have to fix it up. You have to price it right. You have to show it, and you have to be highly flexible. None of these cards have been on the deck for the last 5 years. And for that reason, sellers are going to get a rude wake-up call. So here's the good news. Let's talk about how the market conditions, and that's a summary of the real estate market. It is a simple supply-demand issue. I don't think it's going to be fixed in 2023. So I want you to understand, wholesaling real estate survives all markets. It always has. I've been through probably the worst real estate crash back in 2007 to 2009, 10. And it's going to survive this market. Wholesaling is not something you do to time a market. It's actually the complete opposite. The sooner you start, the better off you're going to do. So the key factor you have to understand is you can't let the fear get into your mind for wholesaling. Actually, 2023, in my opinion, is your greatest opportunity to capitalize on the real estate market to thrive as a wholesaler. And let me explain why. See, I keep talking about seller's fear. And what happens with fear is it gravitates. The media gets it. Sellers start talking about it. You hear it at the dinner table. You hear it with your friends. Oh my gosh, real estate's so bad. Are you okay? I hear this all the time when people talk to me. I'm like, I actually get excited when they say that. So what happens is people are like, okay, I'm not going to get more for my house anymore. Now I'm going to sell it because I heard the market's drop. What happens is everybody takes that mentality and puts their house on the market. As the inventory rises, interest rates rise, mortgage rates get higher. It's hard. Much harder environment to sell a house. So house sits on the market for 30 days instead of a week. Hey, we'll regroup. The realtor says, don't worry, we'll drop it a little bit. And what happens after 90 days, they look at the realtor like, how do we sell this thing? And the realtor goes, you're going to have to aggressively price it now. And then that 90 days can turn into 6 months. And this is a technique I always talk about, and it's called dogtailing. And all dogtailing means is, you know how like when you have the dog and he runs in circles chasing his own tail? This is what's happening. Sellers are chasing their own tail to try to get yesterday's pricing. And we all know the rules. Does the dog ever catch the tail? No. At some point, the dog gives up, and that's what's going to help him with a lot of these sellers. If you had a property on the market for 6 months, you trusted a realtor, and you never even got an offer or a price, you have a decision. You can either keep the house, you might get foreclosed on it if you're in over your head, which a lot of people are going into this market, or you can reach out to a wholesaler, someone like me or you, to help solve your problem. That dogtailing will be the recipe for creating a high motivation for a wholesaler to be successful in 2023. You see, there is one key ingredient for dogtailing to make it work. The seller has to feel pain. That's the dog getting tired, spinning around. You ever notice the dog keeps spinning and spinning? What? They just give up and they get tired. Why? Because so much time goes by. The pain gets high. The pain is heavily influenced by the amount of time. And for that reason, sellers just go, just give me the price. I want it sold today. Motivation's high. It is the perfect deal for wholesalers, and you need to know this. So now let's particularly talk about you as the wholesaler, what is going to happen in 2023. So you understand the seller's position of dogtailing. Let's talk about the next thing that's going to happen. So the next thing you need to do as a wholesaler is you need to go back to basics. And what do I mean by that? Is when things get screwed up, like anything else in life, you've got to go back to the core things that work, as particularly in wholesaling. So what you have to understand is you got to go back to the basics. You've got to get the most highly motivated sellers, and you need to find the list to locate them. That's why me and Zach have always promoted government lists. Number one, they're free. Number two, it is a direct correlation. You're not even getting it from a third party. And usually where there's smoke, there's fire. Those are going to be the most motivated sellers. And you want to attack those government lists. The next list you want to go after is REI List or Zach Data. And these are simple services we recommend in our business. We actually use them, and it's so much better than just getting an employee. And you can get up to 10,000 leads with them. You can check them out at reilist.com or zachdata.com. Your choice. It's up to you. And I love these lists because you get 10,000 leads. You get those leads and you can fill your pipeline. Because the key with using government lists and these types of lists I'm talking about is you have to have volume. Guys, you will not be able to replace volume. If you're just starting out in wholesaling, volume will cure a lot of your inexperience. You have to get the government list and collect lists off like listrei.com. And that is the best way to get the volume you need for wholesaling. The other thing we want to talk about, getting back to the basics, is understanding that you're going to have to focus on your cash buyers more. You're going to have to spend more time with them. and I call it cash buyer intel. So a lot of you have been taught to ignore your cash buyers or a dime a dozen. It was really bad advice, and it only worked in a super hot market. That's what like a realtor thinks. Guys, I don't want you to be a realtor. If you're going to be in this game the long time, you need to understand your end customer is ultimately the cash buyer. So you have to spend time. You have to vet them. You have to talk to them on the phone. The days of just SMS and just sending an email, those days are gone. You're going to actually have to connect. And the most important thing is you want to use that data, because if you know exactly what your cash buyers want, you know how to target the price when you talk to your sellers. Guys, make sure you're getting your cash buyer intel. How are you going to do that? You're just going to have to spend more time. That's the truth. Which leads me to my next one is, guys, you have to use the Go for No. If you don't know how to use Go for No, go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you how to do it. You guys are spending way too much time trying to make the perfect offer. The reality is you have to see if there's motivation first. How do you do that? First, you qualify them. Second one is when you get to the offer, just go for no. Make them an offer half what you think the estimated retail value of it is, and see if they'll give you a counter offer. You see, so many of you are conditioned trying to write the perfect offer like you're a realtor. You're not. The idea is to get a no on your first shot so you can get a counter offer or get an idea where you're at, and to verify the motivation. Guys, if you sit there and spend 30 minutes to an hour doing comps, trying to write the perfect offer to get a yes, you are not wholesaling, you are acting as a realtor, and you need to make that shift to be a successful wholesaler. And the last thing you've got to understand is creative financing now actually makes sense, because there's people with mortgages between 2 and 4%, maybe even 5%. And there is real value on that now. So I want you to be open to it if the wholesale doesn't work. But remember, if you're going to do creative financing, make sure you are cash flow positive from day one. That includes any amount you give to the seller and your monthly cash flow and the exit price, because creative financing only works if you make money while you're going along. A lot of you don't have a big war chest of money to give. So make sure whatever you give to the seller, you can get back double from your end user. If you want to learn more, go over to freewholesaling.com. I just want you to be open to creative financing, because now it actually makes sense. So the next thing you understand is the wholesaling coaching mentoring environment. So you guys know me and Zach are on a movement to make this much more transparent and make it simple. Wholesaling is a simple strategy. It is the fundamentals of learning all real estate investing, and all techniques center around it. So if you try to skip wholesaling because you keep getting sucked into these pitches, and what do I mean by pitches? Wholesaling, coaching, and just real estate investing in general, the coaches and the mentors have figured out how to sell you a theory. See, a theory is something that sounds perfect to you, like, hey, you do this, there's no risk, and you're going to make a ton of money, and why fight and deal with wholesalers? And it sounds perfect, like, oh my God, that would solve all my problems. Guys, that is called marketing, and that is how they're going to take advantage of you. If you haven't noticed, the 95% failure rate in the coaching business, particularly in real estate investing, wholesaling, it's because the pitch is super sexy, it makes sense, but there is no correlation to the actual mechanics of the business. And that's what me and Zach preach on it. There's a lot of coaches out there, there's a lot of good ones, God knows how many students, and you're going to be limited. And if you understand that you're getting pitched, you can be aware of what's going on. When you hear discovery calls, it means they don't want to show you the price because they've got to get you an emotional sale. It's ridiculous. Be transparent and give people the prices. If you have to go on a discovery call, you are being pitched. Remember, if you're being pitched, they're going to generate revenue and give you very little skill set to be successful. When you hear words like lifetime and evergreen, these are red flags. All these big time coaches, they are actually corporations, and they are eventually bought and sold. They're never going to be able to live up to these agreements. I've been burned on them myself. And last but not least, don't be distracted by non-related opportunities from influencers. So me and Zach only talk about real estate because that's what we do. We don't talk about anything else. We don't talk about any digital assets. We don't talk about flipping cars, anything like that. If you see an influencer doing that, understanding what are they doing, I don't understand. They're just trying to make money off another opportunity, and you are a captive crowd. And make sure whoever you get advice from is an expert in the field, and that's the only thing they're advising you on. Let's talk about the legalities of wholesaling. Wholesaling is 100% legal, period. I don't want to hear that it's illegal. That is the fear factor we talked about originally from the sellers. So when they sell you, hey, it might be illegal, I promise you, there is a product coming or a service that you'll have to buy to protect you. There's no such thing. You have to do it honestly and ethically. We teach you how to do it at freewholesaling.com with no fees, no strings attached. But guys, you hear all these crazy techniques. The latest things coming out in 2023, which I think is a huge scam, novations. All novations is brokering real estate without a license. If you don't believe me, I have talked to multiple attorneys. I'm trying to help sellers now that gurus are teaching students how to do novations, and they are stuck because the title is clouded. It's a real problem. Guys, novations are a bad deal, and I'm here to tell you sometime in 2023, they are pretty much going to be banned. How are they going to do it? They know that you guys are recording affidavits and memorandums, and any fresh one recorded within less than 6 months is being red flagged at all the underwriters that carry title insurance policy. Ask me how I know this. It is factual. It's going on now. We have no business entering into a power of attorney and being paid. It is a conflict of interest, and it violates the fiduciary responsibility of a power of attorney, which is going to expose you. Guys, I'm not giving you legal advice. You need to run this by your attorney. I have talked to more than 2 attorneys, which says novations 100% is brokering real estate without a license. And the problem is novations happen naturally, meaning sometimes you have to replace a contract. You shouldn't have to do a power of attorney, and you shouldn't have to record an affidavit of memorandum. That's not how business works in wholesaling. So novations has nothing to do with wholesaling. It is just a trick, and they're trying to fool, in my opinion, the seller. They're trying to fool the title company, and they're definitely trying to fool the underwriter. And for that reason, when you record these affidavits, the files are going to be red flagged. The sellers are going to get super mad at you, and you are going to be an open target for a lawsuit for practicing real estate without a license. Guys, do not fall for these tricks. Wholesaling has worked since the churn of time. It works in good markets. It works in bad markets. Don't let fear take it over. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Are you going to take these predictions and see if they come true? And do you believe in them? Let me know what you guys think. I want to hear from you. As usual, make sure you smash that like button. You hit that subscribe button and continue to receive up-to-date information on wholesaling today. Guys, this is Ginn, and I appreciate you. Thank you.